two.
Oh, a bit late there, you were. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to successcafe.tv. My name's Paul Bursey, and I'm speaking from Essex, which is just outside London in the UK. My co-producer, my co-presenter is...
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I trust you all had a fantastic weekend. Warren Conley here, coming to you from Hungary in Central Europe. I won't even bother to pronounce the name like I do most times, because...
What, Hungary?
No, Santander.
All right. Is it spelled S-Z?
Yes. I nearly said again, which is yes.
Yeah, S-Z. Yeah, I know. I was looking for it today on the map, funny enough.
Okay.
That's the only one I could find that came close to it, so it must have been the right one.
In Hungarian, if you say SZ, it's like we say S. And if you say ZS, it's like Z.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for that language lesson.
A little bit of a language lesson there.
So today's headline: are you willing to do whatever it takes? And the reason I put that, I mean, it affects both of us and everyone else who's trying to achieve anything. And I just want to put it into some perspective, you know, what you can expect from yourself and what sometimes we do or don't do. So are you willing to do whatever it takes? In general, I would say, based on experience, probably not. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean say you're not doing great things. It does. It's just that sometimes we put loftier things up here that we should aim at. And most of us actually probably don't reach them, you know. But that's okay. As long as you're striving forward, I don't think it matters. Would you agree with that, Warren?
Sure. If you're just pushing forward, then yeah. And it's as long as you're looking to do something, if you're willing to do anything or whatever's possible, whatever's required, as long as it's moral, legal, and ethical, then yeah. But unfortunately, most of us don't. No. I mean, I'm not talking about moral, ethical, or legal. I'm talking about most of us don't. We're not prepared to do whatever is required.
And what we're talking about here is not your everyday thing. What we're talking about here is, let me ask you the question: have you really achieved anything extraordinary where you really had to pull out all the stops? I think, and I would think the answer to that is probably not very often. Okay, now it doesn't say you can't have a great life. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that there are some people that are willing to do whatever it takes and have done that. You know, and I'll give you a classic example of one that has and one that has not now, and that is Anthony Joshua in the heavyweight boxing championship. I predicted him to knock out the other bloke, but he never got going. The other bloke deserved it. And he was willing to do whatever it took, and he attacked the whole fight, you know. And I don't think he's a brilliant fighter by any means. I just think that Anthony Joshua just went missing.
He wasn't willing to do what it was required to win that fight
on that particular day. So what I'm saying is it can happen to the best. So we're not alone when we have them really off days and off weeks and things like that. So this isn't about being harsh on yourself or anything like that. So whatever it takes, what does that mean? What would it mean in your world, Warren?
For me, if I'm thinking from a business perspective now, which is what we're talking about, right, is I used to look at it as if it would be having to make certain sacrifices in my life, and to be willing to be put certain things aside in order to achieve whatever it was that I wanted to. Fortunately, the way for me personally, that way of thinking for me has changed. I don't look at it as making sacrifices. And B, I don't necessarily believe that things have to be put to the side in order to achieve something of excellence or achieve something new, or the highest standard in my life from a business perspective. I don't believe so for me, it's about still maintaining that balance that I have in my life and improving upon my balance at all times, but at the same time, knowing that there's going to be certain times when I'm going to have to make a choice between, say, for example, family time or business time, or recreational time or business time, or study time or business time. And especially if I'm setting myself short-term goals or midterm goals, those business goals will have to take precedence over the others, but I won't sacrifice anything.
No, absolutely not. I think that let's say, for argument's sake, let's pick a sort of reasonable figure. Let's say that you're going to put 3 to 4 hours into your business every day. Let's say it's a part-time business, and let's also say that you work as well, and you've got family. So let's talk about within that 3 to 4 hours a day. Yeah, what is acceptable to you? Do you set yourself small targets?
Yeah, for me, in order to be able to maintain that energy or that focus and that desire, because when you start to look at doing something or achieving something, no matter what, if you like, for example, you say 3 to 4 hours part-time, for the average person, 3 to 4 hours part-time is just too much. Okay. It's
I have to say, I just picked a figure. I mean,
it is, and but however, sometimes in order to achieve that which you don't have and be willing to do whatever it is that you want to achieve, you need to step up to that 3 to 4 hour. You're going to have to get to a point where you may start at 1 hour a day, but there's going to come a pivotal time, a pivotal moment when you're going to have to step up to 3 to 4 hours a day. Regardless of whether you're still working a full-time job or not. Okay. In order for that for you to be able to reach that achievement, that accomplishment. So for me, it's about setting smaller goals every single day, just smaller goals, because then my belief changes. My paradigm changes. My belief around my ability to achieve that changes if I'm setting smaller goals. I have a bigger outcome, but then I have small goals. I don't even necessarily have medium-term goals. It's just small goals, because at the moment, as soon as I keep reaching those small goals, I know my belief is changing. My belief becomes more concrete, and then I'm more willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as being in the trenches, which means chipping away, doing little bits, and keep going. And the big goal, the big goal you're aiming for is so well off in the distance. But the key is, I mean, if you are chipping away, you're getting there. If you're getting little successes, all these little successes build on one another. And that to me is what we're talking about. Now, the other thing I was going to add to it was that when we talk about work, it's probably the wrong word. I would rather talk about someone's passion, and because at the end of the day, we have to have fun, and if you're not enjoying it, then you're doing the wrong thing. So whatever it is you're doing, you've got to enjoy it. You've got to have fun. You've got to be smiling through it. And now I know that sometimes, because I've had it myself, when you're training, you really, really don't want to smile. But if you can, it's even better, And
well, also, not every. If you're an athlete, for example, or if you're doing something, if you're creating something in business, let's say you wanting to create, like I'm right now at the moment, what I'm doing is that I'm creating a PDF document. It's going to be a free tool for people to use. Okay. Now, for me, the outcome of having achieved that is the passion.
Yeah.
So the message that I'm going to be able to put or convey in that PDF document, an ebook, whatever you want to call it, all right, that's the passion for me. the actual job of doing it and putting together the writing, is not necessarily fun. It's not particularly fun, and if I'm thinking a lot about it. So I try not to think too much about what I'm writing. I just get down and I start writing, and I write, and then from there I can. But very often, like as an athlete, you want to reach an ultimate goal. Like with you often use the example, Paul, of when you train to do your first marathon.
Mm-hmm.
The training behind that is not always fun, but you know that the passion lies in achieving that marathon, getting into that starting line of doing the marathon. Okay, and this is what can determine whether you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there or not. So it's not necessarily the passion in each and every single moment, but it's the
No,
passion.
no, it's the overall passion,
Sure.
whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes you need to sweat in order to achieve, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and what I found also is there are moments in time when things become extremely easy.
Yes.
Now that doesn't mean to say you're not achieving. It just means that you put yourself in a position mentally, physically, where you're actually expecting that person to turn up, or to do a certain time if you're running, or to make a certain amount of money, or whatever it is. You expect it because you've been doing well. And it is about feeling, but to get that feeling, you need to create momentum. And to be momentum, there's got to be movement. You've got to be doing something.
Something.
And it has to be worthwhile. And the word you used the other day, which I'd forgotten for a little while, was impactful. Right? It has to have an impact.
Mm-hmm. Whether it be
Because,
on your life or somebody else's life.
yeah, even, and of course we're in sales and things like that. So even if you're saying to someone, good morning, and smiling, that you're going to see that person every day, that is impactful. See, so it doesn't have to be that you've just made £100 sale. It doesn't have to mean you've made £1,000 sale. It means you're doing some of the things that are going to take you to success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's extremely important, sort of moving forward. So there's lots of little determining factors. So the question you have to ask yourself, how determined are you to achieve what it is that you want to achieve? Now, nobody can dictate to you what you do. So it's got to be something that's important to you, something that's deep inside. And I think that, again, and that's, and you could use that on anything.
Yeah, often I see people in as much as success leaves clues, so does failure. All right, and
Failure's your friend.
and when it comes to reaching an outcome and being willing to do whatever it takes to do it, that you can see clues on both sides of that same coin.
Yeah.
Where often people wait until lastminute.com or like something drastic has happened in their life, and then they get to that point where it's like, now I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
Whereas if they had just taken put the energy and the effort, and not necessarily effort, but the energy and the passion and the thought behind achieving that in the first place, well before that last possible moment to be able to start taking action on it, then they wouldn't have had to be so much that mindset of I'm willing to do this no matter what. Because very often when we are in that desperate state, we are not in a good way, and we're not in a good energy. So we become desperate, and when we become desperate, we start to think desperately, and when we're thinking, we tend to hold ourselves back, and we end up procrastinating, or we end up making the wrong decisions. Whereas when you get like an individual that has that dog, that desire inside of them, that doggedness about them, they don't wait till the last minute. They just go and do it. The idea comes to them and they go. And then they're willing to do whatever it takes. And because they're in the right frame of mind, they have that right energy, they typically create success as a result of that. But the vast majority of us will wait until the last minute before we've decided, okay, now I'm willing to do whatever it is. But often without sounding negative, it's often it's too late. It's too
Mm.
late to really truly be successful in it, because you may reach some kind of success, you may reach some results, but because your mindset is in the wrong place, you're thinking from a state of desperation as opposed to, I'm willing to do this no matter what, so I can just build a future for myself and my family or whoever, but from a place of comfort and a place of knowing and assurance and stability. It's much easier to achieve that success then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
This is where both sides of the coin, and it's so easy to slip up on one of them. It really
Oh,
is.
yeah, absolutely. But I think that the key is that whatever it is, you need to stir up some strong emotions inside of you.
100%.
Because not much is going to happen without it. So hopefully you can do that. And I mentioned before about movement. Movement is very, very important, and you need to be moving forward. You need to be, and when I say movement, I'm talking about actual movement. Because that stirs emotions, and you can increase that movement, and it becomes momentum. All right, and then you can get to the stage of saying, let's charge. And you can do that inside. Nobody else has to know that. All right. It doesn't have to be a loud thing. It has to be an effective thing, So, sort of with that, I mean, obviously we were speaking about decisions last week, I think, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Used to ring a bell, the word decision. Yeah. We use that a lot. So you can make quiet decisions. You don't have to tell the world what you're doing,
No.
but sometimes it pays to do that, because it puts that little bit of pressure on you that you need, just enough to make sure that you achieve what you want to achieve. And obviously, if you've got little incremental goals, these steps that we talk about, sometimes we just need a little shove, a little kick. We all need it, because it's you can't get blasé. You got to stay on the edge, the slight edge as they call it. You need that, okay? And as I say, it's very important that when you're working, you don't lose focus. It's okay when you're out with like when you go out with your wife and things like that. I don't know what's calling me here. Something's calling me here on my. Oh, I haven't got anything switched on. That's really. How does that work? Oh, I know it is. Hang on. No, my son's here and he had my phone, and I thought he still had my phone. Yeah, look, it's going again now. So I didn't think that was good. Didn't think it was going to be a problem. Anyway, so I've now I'm going to turn it down so I don't get calls anymore. Anyway, yeah. So no, I'm pressing it all wrong. Forget it. Okay. All right. What I was going to say.
Decision making.
Yeah, decision mate. Once you've made the decision, obviously there's going to be some precise actions that you need to take. Okay. Now, who knows what those decisions are, but as I say, we said before, they've got to be impactful. So if you're, let's say, like what we do, health and wellness business. Okay. I hate the combination of those two words, but it is basically we're into health. And when you make a decision, you've then got to break it down very simply to decide what it is you're going to, do to bring some impact to people. And the thing is, I was thinking about it this morning, and it was basically you are helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's they might have a sleep problem, that you can sit down with them and go through it. And that to be able to do that is tremendous. The feeling you have from that, I mean, that's not a chore. That's not work.
Mm-mm.
That's fun. And if you can help them overcome that, it's brilliant, because at the end of the day, you get paid. They're happy. They've got a result, and it's a win-win for everyone. So yeah, have you had any wins recently that you can talk about, Warren?
Yeah, actually, it's a slightly obscure one in that about 2 years ago, I was in the company of a lady here locally with some friends, and I was talking about what you and I are doing, what we're involved with, and that, and nutrition and business and stuff, and just talking about what it is. And then this lady got referred to take one of our products by somebody completely disconnected from me. She has no idea, whatever. And this lady remembered. I haven't seen her for 2 years, and she just remembered. Warren does this. Okay. And so she contacted me, and now she's a customer of mine. So, and that was just purely because she was referred to use one of our products from a naturalist, a natural healer. And this person said to her, "You need to use this." And so she reached out to me, and last week Friday I went to go see her and sign up, registered as a customer. So that is, I think, for me, that's a win, because when the opportunity arises, I'm making an impact in someone's life just through conversation. I'm not trying to necessarily sell them anything. I'm just talking to people, and I'm sharing insights, I'm sharing knowledge, and I'm sharing this and that when the opportunity is right. And I think that for me is the fact that this woman remembered after 2 years, and she hardly knows me.
Mm.
She met me on a couple of occasions, literally a couple of occasions, but she remembered. And that's great, because that shows that whatever it is I'm doing, I'm making an impact. And often, from time to time, people reach out to me. Like yesterday was my birthday, and I heard from people that I haven't heard from.
Happy birthday!
Thank you,
I
Paul.
didn't know that. Sorry.
No, now you know. So people reached out to me that I had basically, people still reach out to me, to wish me happy birthday. Some people I haven't seen for years, and I dealt with for a matter of months, at the most. And that means that I've made an impact upon those people's lives. That's the way I like to look at it. The fact that they remember it's my birthday, and they reach out to me, they take the time to do that.
Yeah. So, okay. So, I think that when we're talking about doing whatever's required, I think what you have to have what I call magical moment, right? And that is that whatever it is you're doing, there's got to be this word or something you say, and you said yes, and it's got to be immediate, and it's got to be resounding, and it's got to be loud in your head. It's not something where you're sitting in the local barbers or the supermarket and say yes. Don't necessarily mean that. You can do that if you want, but I don't necessarily mean that. But you've become inspired to do something, and you've really got to say to yourself, "I'm all in."
Mm-hmm.
You see so many people that don't commit themselves to something, and look, if things aren't worth doing, if you can't say yes, I'm all in, they're just not worth doing. That's the way I see it. I don't know how you feel about that. It's just a waste of time otherwise,
Yeah, and it's back to like what I was saying just now, using this example with this lady. It's being all in is about not being scared. You may be scared, but having the courage to engage with people and create, not create the subject, but engage with people. And when the opportunity arises, is just to be natural about what it is that you're doing. Because if you're engaging in any such a situation in your life, and you can think to yourself, how can I impact this person's life now? And if it's along the lines of what you want to do, and you're willing to do anything in order to achieve that, then you're going to, inspiration will allow you to think of something, come up with an idea as to how you can impact that person's life there and then in the moment. And it'll become so natural for you that you won't. It's not like you're going to be reading a script or something like that, or you're trying to sell them something all the time. No, it's just I base it on when I ask that question, how can I impact these people's lives now, or how can I impact this person's life now? When I'm in conversation with them, the answer always comes up based around always around my passion. And I don't think about the answer. The answer just comes to me, and it's like, okay, I'm going to talk about this now. or I'm going to answer them with that question, with that subject or that question, or whatever. But if you're focused and your center is there, this is important as well. Are you centered on achieving that, or are you distracted by this, that? Because if you are distracted by everything that comes in your way, all the bright, colorful, glittery things that life throws at us endlessly, if you're constantly distracted by all of that, you'll never remain strong enough and determined enough and passionate enough and convicted enough to be willing to do whatever it takes to do what it is that you want to achieve. It's simple as that. You've got to remain focused on what it is that you want to achieve, and only look for the signs that indicate to you that these are messages being brought to you, or tools brought to you, or assistance brought to you to achieve that goal. And you've got to be able to identify what it is.
Yeah.
What's the difference? This is like, because this was my birthday this weekend. So I went to a birthday party from a client of mine on Saturday. It was her birthday. And then yesterday was my birthday. And that's the only time I'm taking time off between now and Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I've told my family, that's it. I'm not taking any other time off. The rest of my days I'm working toward, because I want my Christmas to be as best as it possibly can be. So I'm working as much as I'm willing to work in order to make sure that happens. Because I want my Christmas to be enjoyable. And I know times are tough. Business is not easy these days. So I've got to do what I'm willing to do, and that's what I'm willing to do.
Well, you sound very determined.
Yeah, but it's not a sacrifice for me. I don't look at it as a sacrifice.
No, I didn't say sacrifice. I just said determined.
But that's why I'm so determined, because I don't look at it, because most people will look at it as a sacrifice, and then that automatically makes them think about, am I really willing to do this?
Yeah, but see, the word determined for me normally means having fun.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to work hard. It just means that I'm going to enjoy it along the way. And I do enjoy the journey. But why do people who say they're determined, why do they fall short? And they fall short very quickly. It's not, why do you think that is?
Beliefs. Very often, I think it's around beliefs and paradigm.
Belief in what they're doing, belief in themselves.
Belief in their reality, and because a belief, after all, is just a thought that's practiced continuously for a period of time, over and over and over again. If you think about something long enough, it becomes a belief, and once you believe in something long enough, it becomes a paradigm. And this is how we think about. There's so many examples of paradigms that we have in a society today that are not necessarily correct, but people believe strongly in them. So if people believe that they're not good enough, or if people believe that they don't have the genes to achieve whatever it is, or they believe strong enough that they're not a salesperson, then they're not going to be successful. So it's about changing the beliefs, and you've got to change their thoughts to begin with in order to change the beliefs. And I think this is very often where people fall short, is because they have the desire in the beginning, they have that fire, that umph within them, and they have this amazing thought, or somebody comes to them and says, hey, here's an opportunity for you. I present it to you on a platter. And then they jump at the opportunity without thinking about it. And then a few weeks into it, they think to themselves, what am I doing? Because their belief sets in. Now their belief about you're not good enough, or you're not a salesperson, or you're not an entrepreneur, or you're not this. Those beliefs start setting in. And then all of a sudden, that willingness, that desire, that passion falls to the wayside. So for me, that's what it boils down to. It boils down to your thoughts and your beliefs and the paradigm around that.
I think I've got the answer why people go missing in action. Sometimes they can't see themselves getting there. They ask themselves, okay, I made the commitment now. What do I need to do to get there? And I think that's where the link spoils. Okay, I think that they don't realise that there's always someone you can talk to and get guided, because there's always someone better than you.
Yeah.
There's loads of people better than you for whatever you're doing.
God for that. There's always
something. Yeah, absolutely. So we can talk to people, but they say, "What do I need to do now?" And they may have a gap of a few days, or a week, or 10 days, and they've gone to work. Reality strikes. They've gone to work. They're doing this. They're doing that. and all of a sudden it's like a distant memory. So people need to keep focused, even if they're not doing something that particular day. They need to keep focused on what they're doing and need to ask the right questions. And I think that's, I don't know. People seem to struggle. They don't ask. But whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to have to learn some skills.
Of course.
And people don't realize that we I think a little bit later on I was going to say that numbers don't lie. Okay, but I think
Unless you doctor the numbers.
yeah, I'll come back to that a little bit later. But I mean,
and this I think is the other major factor, is that people are not willing to learn new things. They're not. They think
that's true. That's true.
They think that I've left school a long time ago. I don't want to be learning anything new again. Well, okay, fine.
Other people go down the rabbit hole, and never emerge again because they find it too confusing. And you know what? What I've found, because I've done that loads of times, by the way. What I found is that actually life is much more simple than you think it is. But we overcomplicate things and we confuse ourselves and we just take ourselves down rabbit holes. And in the end, your mind just goes, "Oh, can't take anymore." Switching off. Whereas if they concentrate maybe just on one thing that they need to do, okay, let's pick one. We're in the networking business, so let's say it's about networking and you've never networked really before. You've done it maybe a little bit in your normal life, but just go out, smile and say good morning.
That's a start.
It's a start. And you can become an expert at that. And then you can move on to the next little bit.
And this ties in. That example is great for tying in with the example I used just now about beliefs.
Yeah.
Because most people think I'm going to look like an idiot if I'm walking around saying good morning to people with a smile on my face. But that's what you believe. Doesn't mean it's true.
That's right. Yeah. It's funny the reaction you get from some people. You should try it. Seriously, I've done it before. It's actually very positive. Actually, they're not expecting it, and they're actually quite pleasantly pleased that someone's taken the time out of their day to smile and say good morning.
There's a gentleman that owns a restaurant down the street from us. Okay, so on our same street. Now where I live, it's where we live. It's a cobbled street. It's an old town. Okay, your typical Central European old town.
Yeah.
And he owns a restaurant down here, and I've got to know him over the years that I've been living here. The short time I've lived here, briefly, not too much, but he's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He doesn't own just one business. He's got 3 businesses. And I spoke to him. I messaged him a few times about talking to me. I wanted to talk to him and see if he would be curious, to see if he'd be open to doing business with me. Okay. And he kept evading. So eventually after a few times, I just left it as it is. I thought, okay, he's obviously not open to looking and talking to me. So I left it. Thereafter, he would always avoid, he would drive past me where I train outside in the park, and he always used to hoot at me, wave to me. Then he stopped. He stopped hooting. He would just drive past, thinking, I'm not going to notice. And I would wave at him, okay? Because for me, that's his choice. It's not my choice. So he would try to avoid me. And then, now the restaurants are opened up for the last, nearly a year now and everything like this. And things are all pretty much back to normal. So if I walk past him and he's sitting outside his restaurant, I smile at him and I greet him, and he doesn't expect me to do that. He thinks I'm going to be like, but no, and now he's starting to open up again to me, because before he was just like, greet me and that was it, because I would greet him. Now he's like starting to engage a little bit with me. And when you do that to a total stranger, just think about what that does to their day. How's that going to impact their lives when you just smile at them and you just greet them? It costs you nothing to do that. And it's a fantastic exercise to start getting yourself out of your own shell. And then you start to see just how willing you are to do whatever it takes to reach whatever you're willing to reach, or whatever you're wanting to go towards. And that's a great first stepping stone. Just greet people, total strangers. in the shopping center, in the supermarket, on the street. Don't do it when you're driving past people because you may have an accident. So it's just use that. I'm glad you used that example, Paul, because I think it's a great tool for people that are naturally introverted or shy or not very confident about themselves to start off with.
Yeah. And because you can use other things as well. I mean,
sure.
I'm just trying to think what they're called. When you basically saying to yourself, that you're good at something, and or you can say it out loud, or you can say it to yourself, or a combination of both. And I think that's important to help build up belief. But you can't beat skills. You cannot beat skills and action, right? And but is consistent action enough at the end of the day? Do you think it's enough? It's definitely a start.
It depends on what it is that you're doing. Consistent action. For example, like I was doing consistent action for a long period of time, trying to build my business, which just wasn't working. I did it consistently enough, but it wasn't the right actions to be taking. I realize now. So
yeah,
I had to change what I was doing. But at the end of the day, I think I probably only realized that because I took consistent action doing what I was doing, even though it wasn't the right action. But for somebody else, it may work. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you were learning to run, let's say, and you built up to do it, let's say a 7-minute mile, okay, and which is quite quick, okay, it's quite a reasonable time for a mile, and but if you said, well, I'm going to go out today every day and do a 7-minute mile, okay, the challenge becomes it doesn't stretch you, so you've got to then think, okay, I'm going to do it in 6:58 or 6:57. You just up it just that little bit, and it stays exciting as well, because you got just that little improvement, little tweak, and so the tweak could be the amount of people you speak to. It could be the amount of times you say hello. It could be anything, and we should all look to up our game, no matter who we are, what we're doing, because there is no there's no homeostasis in, there's no level. You're either going down or you're going up.
Well, this is again, I don't know how many times I've brought this up, but we're the only species that we know of that is egotistical enough to think that we can remain on a level playing field and expect life to continuously get better for us.
Yeah,
not changing. It's not how the universe operates. The universe is always moving forward. So either you're going down or you're going up. It's never gonna stay in a level playing field continuously. It will stay there for some period of time, but eventually you're either gonna have to move up or you're gonna just get taken down without your consent. So simple as that.
Yeah, I think for me, there's 3 words I think of: being smart, being impactful, and being creative. You can do those 3 things, added to your industriousness, then I think you're well on the way to achieving what you want to achieve, and keep your goal out in front of you. That's the other thing as well. And if you don't hit the goal, I think you said this the other day, if you don't hit your goal on that day, it doesn't change anything. Doesn't change anything. Just change the date. Change the date. That's all you've got to do. Don't get down on it. It's just one of those things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I found that when I was training for running, some days you just have awful days. You just can't get going. You go out on a run, it can still be a good run, but you feel horrible. Other days you feel great, but the run's not so fast.
Yeah.
And then you'll go and you're the worst day and you've done the best time. So it's not all clear cut, and I think that's extremely important. That is, but whatever you do, is it subjective? And I had to look this up, and it's based on your personal feelings, your tastes and your opinions. That's what subjective is. All right. So things are shaped by you know, how many times you do it, your experience and your knowledge. So this is where the skill factor comes in. You've got to work on the skill factor, you know, and get a little bit better. I call it fixed and flexible. Your goal is fixed, can be changed, okay, like date and things like that, but flexible in how you're going to get there. So if one thing's not working,
your date needs
one
to
thing's
change.
not working, then you just try something else.
Yeah.
You keep trying to find things that work best for you. You know, and again, you have to be fixed on the outcome. The outcome doesn't change. It can go up, but generally speaking, let's say it remains the same. It's just that sometimes you get the date wrong.
Because that's part of the date is part of the journey, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
The journey is the most important thing because that's where you build your skill set, that's where you build your knowledge, that's where you build your experience. And sometimes you're just not ready to receive the outcome yet. So your date has to change, has to be shifted, because you need to learn a few more things first in order for you to be able to handle that outcome. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same example with lottery card winners. You know, lottery winner will. I mean, how often? I read a story recently.
Look good, be broke.
A lady from Wales that won the lottery, and her life turned into a misery as a result.
Yeah.
I used to know a guy personally in South Africa who won the lottery, and his life became a misery as a consequence of that. You know,
would yours? Mine wouldn't.
No, well, I think probably not now, because you and I we have a different understanding of finances, of life, and things like this. But for the average person, you know, that doesn't think about business other than being an employee, or perhaps you know, whatever the case may be, most people are not equipped mentally, emotionally to handle winning a lottery ticket. They're just not. You know, so they're going to end up giving that money away, or losing it, gambling it off, or something like that, buying something extravagant, and then, you know, not being able to keep that up. Whatever the case may be, they're going to end up losing it. Most people will, and this has been proven. And this is why in some countries now, I don't know if they do this in the UK, but in some countries, if you're a lottery winner, they only give you the money in installments. They don't give you a full bulk amount. So I
don't know about that. So
yeah. So if you're an actual the big jackpot winner, then they will assign you a financial advisor as well, and then they give you the money in the beginning in installments and stuff like that, so that you don't go blow it all at once. You know,
I'd personally, I'd have a lot of broad portfolio of stuff. You know,
yeah,
and you know, to make it work for you. You know,
of course. But the average person, they're going to go buy a house, and
they're going to go and blow it. Yeah, I mean, okay,
I
get all that, but you haven't got a rush to spend it. There's no rush.
And again, there's no rush in reaching your goal.
You can wait till tomorrow.
There's no rush in reaching your goals or your outcome. If you have a desire, there's no rush. Just do what you know you need to do in order to get there. Be willing to do whatever it takes to get there, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical.
Yeah.
But don't rush it. Don't try to force things to happen, because when you start to try to force things to happen, they will push against you. And the force of nature is much stronger than you are. So just let it cruise, baby. Let it cruise.
It's just a couple of other things, and I think, and this ties in with the lottery mentality as well, is that you need to develop your personal mental characteristics. Okay, so things like resilience, you know, so you still hang around. Things like being smart, like hanging on to your money. Okay, you know, obviously you're going to spend a bit, but if you're going to, let's say I'm going to blow 10% of it, but the other 90% is all going into different things to be looked after.
I'd love to see somebody that's disciplined enough to do something like that.
Oh, I would, absolutely. I would definitely. I'd have to blow a little bit though. You'd have to blow a little bit.
Spend 10% and invest and save 90. Ooh, I think that temptation would be so hard to just go at least 40% of it.
Yeah, but if you've got a broad portfolio of things, you've taken care of everything. There's only so many things you can take care of at the end of the day.
There's
And
only so much money you can spend every day until it runs out.
yeah. But one thing, you know, apart from developing skills, one of the other things you definitely need to do is get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. Don't stay doing what you're doing unless it works, of course. Because we are inherently comfortable. Most people, not everyone, because some people are permanently uncomfortable. But what I mean by uncomfortable is doing something that you're not used to. This is where the skill factor comes in.
Something that challenges you,
that tweaks you and makes you feel that little bit uncomfortable. Well, I don't know if I can do this, but you can do it. It's just whether you will. So, and when I said about the numbers don't lie, what I wrote down was quality numbers don't lie, because if you put crap numbers in, you get crap results. If you put quality numbers in, you'll get quality results regardless of which way it goes. You know, and the other thing is quality results don't lie. You can get little things, little results happen. If you're putting quality work in, you get quality results. You know, and as I say, they don't lie. So there's no guarantees in life here in anything we talk about. But willingness, that's the other little bit of the puzzle that people are missing, is the willingness to be big part. Is a big part of expectations. Willingness to work, you know, willingness to do what's required and things like that. It's very, very, very important that you have this willingness. A lot of people haven't got it, and will never have it, you know. So the last thing I want to talk about is hunger. Whatever it is you do, you've got to have hunger. You know, if you haven't, you ain't getting nowhere. You will,
because then you're not willing to go out and find your food, are you?
No. Think of the hunter-gatherer sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. I've got to go out and I've got to go and kill something today, hunt-wise, so that my family can eat. You've got to have the hunger. You've got to have that sense of urgency. And
I was showing my daughter. It wasn't my daughter. It was a student of mine, a young kid, that is one of my clients, and I was showing him a video of a khoisan from South Africa, from the Kalahari, hunting down a kudu. A kudu is the world's largest buck. Okay, a buck, yeah, like an antelope, but it's the world's largest buck. And they shot him. There was a bull from a herd, and they targeted the bull. They shot the bull, and then one guy ran and tracked this kudu down. But he ran for 7 hours just going with this kudu until eventually the kudu just collapsed from exhaustion.
Mm.
And then he went and he ceremonially killed the kudu and everything like that. But 7 hours, and then he's still got to take that, wait for his mates to come pick him up, and then together they got to take that kudu and they got to take it back to their family, their families to eat. Now that's willingness and desire. I mean, you can't beat that.
That reminds me of a film, actually, in a strange way, and that's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Okay, how does that?
Remember that when he's being chased everywhere by this LaForce, wasn't it? Like that. And he went, and they're surrounded by the Bolivian army. I hope LaForce's not out there. But it's a similar type of thing. You enclose around the animal, and he's finished, isn't he? In the end. But the other word, the last thing I'm going to leave is the word malleable. Malleable. All right. So know what the rules are. Whatever you're doing, know what the rules are. Mm-hmm. I used to do this in the police. Tell me what the law is. Tell me what the rules are. And then I will manipulate things, mold them into the shape without breaking it, without cracking it. So it can be scrutinized and people won't say you've done something wrong. But learn to make malleable things, make it work your way. Whatever it is, And I think that's important as well, because I must admit I am into breaking the occasional rule. Okay. Some you can break and get away with, some you can't. All right. You've got to learn what you can get away with and what you can't. All right. And that could be with advertising, could be with anything, So with that, are you willing to do whatever it takes? Only you can answer that. Would you agree with that?
Sure, only the individual can answer that question. It's only the individual will know, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Warren, take us away. Take us out. Finish us off.
Finish this off. Yeah.
Try
So
and go on it.
go back to the question: are you willing to do whatever it takes? And if you'd like to discover whether you're willing to do whatever it takes, and whatever that may look like, and you're not sure what that may look like or what that may feel like, then man, I can speak for myself. I'll be more than happy to show you how, and give you some insights and provide you with some tools to look at it introspectively. Because you may never have thought of it until watching this or listening to this podcast. And after listening to this, you may now think to yourself, "Oh, I'd actually like to try something that you've been thinking of for a period of time, or you've never thought of something, and something comes to mind." But you just don't know how to go about doing that. And no, you don't. Often people don't know what it means to be willing to do something. So if that has kind of created some curiosity in your mind, I'll be more than happy to share tools and exercises and give you some guidance and things like that. And I'm pretty damn sure Paul would as well. So, reach out, talk to people, talk to us, talk to somebody. If there's been something that's been a burning desire inside of you for some period of time, don't ignore it. Because if there's something that's been in your mind, playing on your mind for a period of time, you got to act on that, because otherwise it'll just keep gnawing away at you until one day you look back and regret. And that's the worst thing to have, is regret. So be willing to at least explore the possibilities of being able to having to do whatever it takes. And then you can make a decision for yourself. But don't be aloof about it, and don't ignore that gnawing that's going on in your head. Act on it and come speak to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Well, we'll see you on Wednesday at healthierlife.tv. And have a fantastic few days, and we'll speak soon.
Yes. Enjoy your rest of the week if we don't see you on Wednesday. Take care.
See you later. Bye.
Cheers, Paul.